I started putting together my clamps here. I thought I would talk a little bit about gluing things up. Normally I use pins to hold the thing and like hold the parts in alignment while the glue is setting, while I put the clamp pressure on, because if you clamped anything up with glue in there, it tends to slide around. Now I didn't want to do that here with this, because I don't want to ugly up my beautiful clamps with a bunch of pinholes. I know they're small, but they're still pinholes. I'm going the extra distance here by just using clamps. And the way to do that is you spread your glue on there. And by spread, I mean, just put the glue on there the normal way you would. Some people use a brush. Other people use their finger to spread it around. Me, I just taking it directly from the nozzle and putting it on the wood and putting the two parts together. Once the clamp pressure goes on there, the glue will squeeze out and cover the entire area anyway. That's been my experience. But what you need to do is you need to spread the glue on there, put the part in place, and give it a little while. Give it, a couple minutes. Like here, I'm gluing up 4 of these. So what I did was I started off by taking each piece, putting the glue on, and putting them in place and pressing them down with light pressure. Well, not light pressure, but enough pressure so that it starts to squeeze out a little bit. With my fingers though. And then, I worked my way around to the, all 4. And by the time I got to the 4th one, I came back to the one that I did first, and I started to clamp it up. And so you start by clamping it up a little bit at a time, clamp a little bit and then go to the other clamp, like I'm using 2 here, clamp that one a little bit more, and then go back to the first one, clamp that again, and so on and so forth until you got it completely clamped down tight and it hasn't shifted. In the meantime, you watch it and you make adjustments as you go. Now, okay, there's an old thing that's older than I don't know what. Like I heard this stuff when I was a kid, all right, that you can add salt to this glue, like sprinkle some salt on there and that'll, I wouldn't do that, okay? This glue is, low sodium formula, okay? It works as it is, all right? If you're looking for maximum strength, don't adulterate it with anything like that. I mean, it may not have an effect, but it may. The reason why I'm using this bottle of glue right here and not this one right here, which I fill up from a bigger jug, is because I ruined that glue by adding something to it. What I did was, okay, I don't know if you had like a big bottle of glue, and then if you happen to leave it open after filling up the bottle, and then go cap it up, and then the next time you come back to it to refill the bottle, maybe a month or 2 later, there's like black stuff growing inside it, like mold. So what I do is I put a little bit of methyl hydrate in there, and of course that killed the mold, no problem. I didn't put a lot in, all right? That killed the mold, but it also did something to the glue. It's not as effective. It's not as strong as it used to be. And I know that because I've taken several things apart that were glued up with the glue afterwards. Like I could notice it even when I was doing it that it wasn't as strong. So ruin the rest of the big bottle of glue, ruin what I have in here and everything I've made with it, since then. Luckily this glue is a lot stronger than it actually needs to be. So you got a little bit of leeway there, but you don't ever want to be putting anything in there, okay? Usually the reason why the black stuff grows in there is if you add water to thin it down. You shouldn't be thinning it down either. You should be using it at the right viscosity, okay? So yeah, rank that one with the sprinkling of salt up with the one that tells you in order to sharpen scissors, cut sandpaper with them. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. You're going to cut sandpaper with the scissors and you think that's going to make them sharper. This is like people say that to this day. And that's old. Like I heard that from my mother when I was a kid. I couldn't even talk and I was hearing that from my mother. Okay? That doesn't make the scissors sharp. It makes them seem sharper. But it's tearing up the edge of the scissors. If you want to sharpen scissors, get a stone and sharpen them. That first segment there was last night. It's now Thursday morning. And I'm getting ready to edit the video that you're not watching. I thought, I didn't have enough in there. Maybe I should show how to sharpen the scissors. And I'm doing it here on my drill press because every other flat area here in my workshop is taken up by the clamp assembly stuff. So, and besides, it's the right height. I really want to have it up higher so you can see what you're doing. Now I've got my sharpening stone here, and it's on the coarse side of the stone. You really don't need to go, any finer with this. Like, this edge doesn't have to be razor sharp. What it has to be is nice and smooth. Like, what it has to be is it has to be flat, and the angle that it meets the face here has to be not rounded over. That's what happens to scissors after a time. That edge there starts to wear into this face on this side, and it starts to get slightly rounded over, so they don't cut as effectively. So these are my shop scissors, and the reason why they're my shop scissors is because they have a broken handle here, which makes them very annoying to use, but they're okay for out here because I don't use scissors out here very often. Anyway, so I'm going to use a stone here. Another possibility is to use a file. A lot of these scissors, especially the lower cost ones that you buy, they work well, but they might be, soft enough to use a file on. You would clamp the blade in the vise, and you would file straight across, like so, and you try to match the angle that they have there. Usually, better scissors usually have two angles. They have the one on the outside here, and then they have a narrower one where the actual cutting takes place. But those angles at the top there are very shallow. They're not steep. They're almost flat, and that's what you need to maintain. You're not looking for a knife edge here. You're looking for a flat area that's slightly tilted. Anyway, so I'm just going to take my stone. I need to get some oil on there first, though. And I'm just going to drag the blade back, held at what I think is the right angle, and stroke it a few times, and then check the action and see how well it cuts. Now, obviously, you can get a little bit fancier with this and make a jig to hold the blade at the right angle, but I don't think the results are going to be much better. Like I said, what you're looking for is to get rid of that rounding over that happens on that very edge on this side over here. So it might take a little bit more grinding to get it down. I can see that there are a couple of areas here where it's still, I can see it. But like I said, these are shop scissors, so I'm not going to worry about it. Here's the paper test to see how well they cut. Slicing through real nice. The real test, though, is to get a piece of plastic wrap and, that thin stuff you put around your sandwich, and try to cut that. Maybe I'll get a piece and come back. Okay, I have it. Can you see it? Yes, you can. You can see it. See that? Now, some of you are going to probably say, well, I can do that with the scissors that I sharpen with the sandpaper. Yeah, you probably can. But for how long? Okay? How long? These are going to stay sharp for a long time. All right? And they're going to continue doing this for a long time. All right? Effortlessly. And, they're not grinding like they would be if you use sandpaper, dude. Sharpen them. Okay? There you go. Thing of beauty. I know it'll do it for this one.
I'll tell you another statistic. Did you know, supposedly 3 out of 4 teenagers in America today think that Chuck Berry was the host of The Gong Show?